Hi students, this is CA Damodaram Pagadala, Chartered Accountant. I am founder of My Career Point. Today I would like to address a topic called rectification of errors. This is a very important topic because both from the student's perspective and also from the industry, so many people are committing mistakes and they are struggling with handling the errors. Here, we are responsible while we doing auditing in our client's business to identify what all mistakes, errors happen, and we should advise, guide the client to rectify those errors. Basically, auditors are not authorized to go and amend, alter the books of accounts maintained by the client. We can only identify errors and we advise the client on how to rectify those errors. So today I'm going to share my experience both from teaching industry and also from the workplace. Whatever knowledge I gained, going to share with you people. So the topic today is rectification of errors. Many students requested me both from the school side and also from the CA profession. They want to have a more clarity on rectification of errors. Now, before we move to understand how to rectify the errors, first we need to understand what do you mean by errors and how many types of errors are there, how these errors takes place in the accounting process. You all know that accounting process starts from recording and ends with reporting, also called communication. So it's nothing but from journal entry till preparation of balance sheet and then communicating that financial information to the users, accounting process involves. Throughout the accounting process, we follow a very important system called double entry bookkeeping system, in which we use two folds accounting called debit and credit. So whenever you convert a transaction into a journal entry, we bring two accounts into the picture, minimum two accounts. One is debited and the other one is credited. The same double entry bookkeeping system is followed throughout the accounting process, where we bring the both debit and credit so that end of the year when you prepare balance sheet, the balance sheet will tally. But maybe because of not knowing the double entry bookkeeping system well, or maybe ignorance of certain rules, or because of the human nature that we normally tend to commit mistakes by nature. So all the members here are there at any level of accounting or maybe all the levels of accounting, we normally commit lot of errors. So first let us understand what types of errors, how these errors takes place. Now let's see, when a transaction is given, first thing is we have to do a passing the journal entry. So we have to convert that into a primary bookkeeping, where we need to identify from the transaction minimum two accounts. One account should be debited, the other account should be credited. Here, because of lack of golden rules, principles of accounts knowledge, or maybe misunderstanding of the other rules and regulations in accounting, lot of mistakes we commit at the stage of journal entry. For example, we can bring wrong accounts while passing the journal entry. Sometimes we also bring wrong amount. Sometimes we pass the reversed entry, like instead of debit we bring the credit and instead of credit we bring the debit. So like this, lot of errors we commit during passing the journal entries. Even if the journal entry is correct, the next stage of accounting is called ledger. So while we are preparing the ledgers, we bring the last year closing balance as a opening, and then current year journal entries we post into the ledger. End of the year we total casting, and then finally we balance it and find the closing balance. So there are so many aspects, stages involved in ledger accounting where we commit lot of errors. Sometimes we may bring wrong opening balance, wrong side we post, and while posting in the current year transactions, sometimes we post into the wrong ledger, wrong amount, wrong side. While we're doing totaling, we do wrong totaling, wrong casting, it's called sometimes overcasting, sometimes undercasting, and while balancing also we do mistakes. Even if journal entry, ledger, everything is correct, but at the time of transferring the ledger balance to a trial balance, again we do a lot of mistakes. So like this, every stage of accounting there are chances for us to commit the errors. Now Auditors, the responsibility is to go to client office and check in detail the entire accounting happened during the year by the accountants in the office, and also check the evidences and then find whatever errors happen. All these errors, auditors will find a list and then suggest the client to rectify this. Now we are going to learn how to rectify these errors. Okay. Now whatever errors I told from journal entry till preparation of balance sheet, all these errors broadly classified into two categories. One is called error of principle. The other one is called clerical errors, human nature. The human commit lot of errors. Now again the clerical errors broadly divide into three more categories called error of omission, error of commission, and then compensating errors. Again, error of omission further divided into partial omission and then full omission. So I have given you the broad view of classification of errors. Now let's see one by one these errors. What do you mean by error of principle and error of commission? All these errors, we'll understand the meaning, and then we slowly move to how to rectify those errors. Error of principle means there are some rules, principles, concepts in accounting. Those rules we apply in a wrong way. For example, when you buy a furniture for use in the office, that is a capital expenditure and that should be treated as an asset. But sometimes people take that as a purchase and show in a trading account, which is normally treated as a revenue expenditure. So when you wrongly treat capital expenditure as a revenue expenditure, that is called error of principle. So there are certain rules which we normally apply in a wrong way. The other side, clerical errors. Humans, we commit some errors mathematically, certain arithmetical calculations and all, we commit errors. So in that, the first category is called error of omission. Omission means omitting, not recording. So either knowingly or unknowingly, sometimes certain transactions at any stage of accounting we omit. Omission can be completely both debit and credit, full omission, or it can be only any one of those aspects, either debit or credit, we will omit. It's called partial omission. Let's come to the error of commission. Commission means calculating errors, mathematical, arithmetical errors, where we post wrong amount to the wrong account, or maybe correct amount on the wrong side. Sometimes we do mistakes with the total, sometimes we do mistakes with the balancing. All those errors called error of commission. The last category called compensating errors. Compensation means something happened to compensate that some other thing we are doing it. It means some error occurred, because of that error one more error, consequently one more error is occurs. Because of another error, the error which occurred in the beginning get compensated, nullified. Now these all called the types of errors. Now any error that we commit, we will come to know in a different stage of accounting. Mainly to know what are the errors occurred, we prepare a statement called trial balance. So before we prepare the final accounts to check the profit and loss and the financial position, we will trial all the ledger balances whether everything happened correctly or not. So for that reason we prepare trial balance. Whereas in trial balance, we bring all the ledgers debit balance on the left hand side and all the ledgers credit balance on the right hand side. And at the end of the accounting year, if we follow double entry bookkeeping system correctly in all the stages of accounting, trial balance will definitely tally. But if trial balance doesn't tally, it's very clear that we committed some mistakes. So there are some errors which affect the trial balance. If you do a mistake, it will affect the trial balance. It means trial balance will not tally. There are some errors, even if it occurs, still the trial balance will tally. So let's see what are those errors will affect the trial balance, means trial balance doesn't tally. What are those errors which will not affect the trial balance, that we are going to see now. Now let's take first error. It's called error of principle. Here we are doing mistakes only with the rules, but we are recording both debit and credit. So here no problem with the double entry bookkeeping system. Both debit credit we are recording and carry forwarding to the trial balance. So error of principle will not affect the trial balance. Trial balance will tally. Let's come to the error of omission, where we have seen two types of error of omission: partial omission and full omission. In case of full omission, both debit and credit we are omitted. So no problem at all. Both debit and credit both are omitted. Nowhere it's going to affect the trial balance. Trial balance will tally. But if you record only debit or only credit and the other aspect omitted, then trial balance will not tally. Let's come to the error of commission, where we do mathematical errors, calculation errors. So definitely error of commission will affect the trial balance because of wrong totaling, wrong balancing, wrong side posting, wrong amount posting. These and all will affect the trial balance. So the trial balance will not tally. The other side, compensating errors. Because of one error, the other error will occur and one will compensate the other. So the error get nullified. So trial balance has no problem. It will still continue to tally. Now we have seen where and all errors occurs, and all the errors are classified into different categories. Again, we have seen all the errors which are affecting trial balance, not affecting trial balance. Now, when you prepare final accounts, includes trading, profit and loss account, balance sheet, where you'll come to know profit and also the financial position. It is not only the business owners are knowing the results and financial position, it is also the outsiders, bankers, investors, shareholders and creditors, suppliers. So many people interested in knowing the business information. We should not disclose, communicate these information with errors that will affect the branding of the business. So before you communicate the information to the users, we should clear all those errors, nothing but rectify those errors, and then only you should communicate the information to the users. Now we are going to see how to rectify those errors. Now, rectifying errors depends on when we identified the errors occurred. So normally who will identify? Basically the accountant who is working in the office. Daily he will go to the office, he will pass journal entry, prepare the ledgers. So sometimes he himself can identify the errors occurred then and there. If he is not able to identify the errors, at the end of the year, every books of accounts of any business will be audited, checked, verified by the auditors with evidence, and auditors will identify all those errors and then they advise the client to clear those errors before they prepare the final accounts. Now, so the rectification of errors will depends on when they identify. The moment rectification of errors means the school students, they just keep in mind that suspense account. Rectification of errors means suspense account. They tend to use the suspense account on all the rectification entries. Please understand, suspense account will come only in one stage. There are 3 stages of rectification of errors. So now I am going to explain in detail how to rectify the errors, and I also told you rectification of errors will depends on when those errors identify. Now, see what happens. The accounting year starts on 1st April, ends on 31st March. So last year closing balance we will bring as a opening balance, and throughout the year all the transactions we record, journalize, and then do ledger posting. Finally we prepare trial balance. From the trial balance we prepare end of the year the trading P&L and balance sheet. Now what happens? Sometimes the accountants, when they're doing accounting in the current year, they themselves will identify the mistakes. So this is called first stage, nothing but identifying the errors before preparing the trial balance. Say for example, I am working in a company as an accountant. Now today I passed an entry for a transaction called purchase of furniture of rupees 50,000 by cash. So here I am buying a furniture which is an asset. So I should debit the asset furniture account to cash 50,000. But some mistake happened, knowingly or unknowingly, with some ignorance, I passed the entry purchase account data to cash. So what happened here? Here it's called the error is called error of principle. Instead of debiting the furniture account, I debited purchase account. Now, so I brought wrong account into the picture. And then I left office today, and again I came back to office the next day. Then I was, while doing the accounting, I looked at the invoice and then I checked, okay, it's a furniture, what entry I passed. Then I'm looking at the journal entry in the system. I debited for purchase account and cash account. Then I was thinking, why purchase account will come? It shouldn't come. In this place, furniture account should come. So I'm debiting furniture account. I'm removing the purchase account. So to remove the debit, we have to do credit. So the rectification entry is furniture account data to purchase account. So like this, the accountants or auditors, even before preparation of trial balance, they identify the errors and clear those errors then and there. In this stage, suspense account will not come. Keep that in your mind. Now, so here, how to rectify the errors in the first stage? Nothing but errors identified before preparation of trial balance. So what you have to do is first check what is the actual entry passed. That should be right or wrong. In order to say something is wrong, you should know the answer, what is right, what is wrong. You should have a strong knowledge in the fundamentals of accounts, golden rules of accounts, and journal entry. Now, the actual entry passed is wrong, and you know the correct entry, you have knowledge, so yeah, you should have the correct entry. Compare the both. Actual entry is the wrong entry, correct entry, you have the knowledge. Compare the both and see where the error occurred. It may be in account, it may be in amount, it may be on the wrong side, it may be entry they omitted fully, it may be only a debit or credit omitted. So some error occurred. You identify and then compare the both actual and correct entry. Accordingly, you have to form the rectification entry. I've already given an example with the transaction called purchase of furniture. Now, in this stage, I already told you, question of bringing a suspense account doesn't arise. Now, let's move to the next stage. Imagine lot of errors occurred, but accountant not able to identify. Subject to that, they prepared the trial balance, but trial balance is not tallied. Either debit total is more or credit total is more. The trial balance is not tallied. Now, what will happen when the trial balance is not tallied? Then the difference, whatever is there, for example, debit total is 50,000, credit total is 40,000, is not tallied. Now the balance, the difference amount 10,000, we will put on the credit side and we close the trial balance showing the both side 50,000, 50,000 with a difference on the credit side. That difference, since we don't know why this difference occurs, so that's the reason, in order to find, and before we go and find the causes, reasons for those difference, we will temporarily treat that difference as a suspense account, because we don't know where what errors occur. Now we are going to identify. Until we identify the reasons where the mistakes occurred, until then we show that as a suspense account. Now the auditors or the accountants, they'll start researching on what went wrong, and then they'll search from journal entry and they'll search all the ledger posting, and then slowly they will identify wherever errors occurred. Now there are two types of errors as discussed earlier. Some errors affect the trial balance, some errors not affect the trial balance. Now you know now what are the errors will create suspense account. Means those errors which affected the trial balance. It means either only debit or credit recorded. So that's the reason the debit and credit is not tallied. So those errors which affect the trial balance, that errors will create the suspense account. So now they'll give you variety of errors. First thing you have to check, what are the errors affected trial balance. So because of that only the difference occurred in the trial balance, and because of that only the suspense account created. So while rectifying those errors as explained in the stage 1, same way you do, and wherever the errors disturb the trial balance, in that place you will bring that suspense account. Those errors which not disturb the trial balance, same way like in stage 1 you will rectify the errors, but suspense account will not come into picture. I'll just give you the best example. Let's take the same transaction given earlier. Purchase of furniture for rupees 50,000 by cash. Imagine error 1 is you have recorded only furniture account and forgot to post into the cash account. Now what will happen here? You recorded furniture account data to cash is a journal entry, but you posted only into the furniture account but not posted the cash account. So you omitted to post the credit balance. So because of that, the trial balance is not tallied. Now what will happen? It's very clear that this error caused the suspense account. Now we have to go and clear that. Now when you slowly identify causes for suspense account, you will bring that errors whatever occurred and clear the suspense account. Now we omitted to record cash. Now we have to record it. So to cash, and the other side furniture account is clearly recorded, no problem with the debit. So the problem here is suspense account arised because you omitted to record cash. So the rectification entry is, since we omitted cash, we have to credit again to cash. The debit is nothing but suspense account. Now let's see the other way. The same journal entry, furniture to cash, both you omitted to record. Both debit and credit you omitted to record. It's very simple that since the journal entry is omitted to record, we have to record it again. So furniture account data to cash account. Both debit and credit omitted, I'm recording it. Here there is no question of bringing the suspense account. So please be very careful that when you rectify the errors between a stage called after trial balance, before preparing the final accounts. During this stage, if you find any errors, you should check whether that error affecting trial balance or not. Those errors affect the trial balance while you are rectifying the same style as explained in stage 1, the suspense account will come into picture. Those errors which not affecting trial balance, just like in stage 1, the journal entries you will pass, suspense account will not come. Let's move to the third stage. Third stage called journal entries passed, ledger prepared, trial balance also prepared, final accounts also prepared subject to errors. Some errors occurred which couldn't able to identify but still moved on and prepared the final accounts. Say for example, final accounts prepared for the year 2019, but there is some errors occurred but we couldn't able to identify. The next year 2020, when auditors checking the books of accounts, they found one error which occurred actually in the year 2019. So previous year errors identified in the next year after preparing the final accounts. In this situation, now whenever you identify the errors, those errors involves expenses and income called nominal expenses and income. Those expenses and income should be recorded through a profit and loss adjustment account. It should not take to a profit and loss account, because last year expenses income, if you record again in the current year profit and loss account, the users of the financial statements, they will misunderstood. I'll give you the best example. Say last year rent for the 1 month, say 10,000 rupees paid but not recorded. If you're supposed to record, you would have been passed a journal entry in the last year, rent account data to cash 10,000, but that entry completely omitted. But in 2020, auditors found a bill, they are checking rent paid for rupees 10,000 but not recorded in the past year. Whatever mistakes happened in the last year, we can rectify in the current year. Now we have to rectify. Entry not recorded, we have to record the entry. So again, rent account data to cash account, 10,000, 10,000. But if you take this rent to a 2020 profit and loss account, it means this rent belongs to 2020 year, but it's not actually belong to 2020. It is actually relating to the 2019. That's the reason we don't take to profit and loss account. We route through profit and loss adjustment account. So rent account data to cash, this rent we have to transfer to P&L adjustment account. Like this, any errors relating to the past year which involves expenses and income will be recorded in the current year through P&L adjustment account. So like this, we have to identify the errors, and rectification will depends on when you identified, at what stage you identified. That matters a lot. In the first stage, suspense account will not come. In the second stage, after trial balance but before final accounts, the suspense account will come. Again, suspense account will come, depends on whether the error affect the trial balance or not. That matters a lot. So don't bring suspense account in all the stages. So I've just explained the entire rectification of errors in a summary way. Any doubts that you have related to the rectification of errors, even if you expect the notes and you want me to solve any problems, I'm there to help you. Thanks a lot.